Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. We're gonna unpack the hypersexuality. Y'all have used feminism to have an entire thought culture. Thought culture came from feminism. Thought culture came right out of feminism. With that sexual liberation mess. Oh, you can have as much sex as you want with as many men as you want, because the men do it, and we trying to get rid of the double standard that men can go around and sow their wild oats and the women can't. Oh no, women, ladies, you should be at just as much liberty to do that as men are. No one ever talked about the spiritual ramifications of gathering up a cemetery behind you. That's why when they talk about thoughts and thought culture, every word is the word about destruction or death. Because when we talk about husbands and wives having sex with one another, we don't say they smashing. But when we out here thotting and bopping, it's a smash. What do you do when you smash something? You break it. You break it. If I go in there and smash a plate, what did I do to the plate? What did I do? Women that's got a lot of sexual partners. Not her husband. What they call them? Bodies. What is a body? A cadaver. A dead thing. Even the term carousel. I ain't never seen no carousel with live horses and mermaids and walruses on it. Have you? Have you? Something empty, something hollow, something meant for fun that's not deep, something with no connection. Thank you, Rough Day. Say, what's up, Miss Kendra? I see you still bringing smoke. Yes, sir. When people are married, we don't have that terminology. Pumping and dumping, smashing and grabbing, knocking down. I knocked them women down. I knocked them. All of them words have connotations of destruction and death attached to them. That's not a mistake. Language is culture, and language is powerful. Language is powerful. And there are not any mistakes, just the word thought. Those H's over there. That's what that acronym means. And women have used women's lib as a way to just be promiscuous. That's biological. That's a biological problem. Nobody ever says how that breaks you emotionally and spiritually, and a lot of times mentally. Nobody talks about the sexual discipline. Because even though the double standard exists where men don't get talked about if they have had a lot of sexual partners, but there is a such thing among men where if a dude his body count too high, other dudes be like, ooh. So you will knock anything down. Just to get to that number, you knocking anything everything down. You're not even being selective. You a dirty D. You dirty D Rodney. You dirty D Derek. Okay? Bruh. Am I right, fellas? I've heard men talk like that. A guy come in and say a ridiculous number. So anything walk past you. Right? Right. Because even if you're the type of guy that don't have no problem attracting a bunch of women and a lot of women want to deal with you, if you're a man that got some kind of discernment, you still ain't gonna smash. I do have value over the deed. Like, you just can't get, just not any old woman can't come over here and get the deed. No. You got to have something going on. Because after a while, her having a big booty or cute face or, after a while, that's like, oh, that numb to that. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay. It's a million of y'all. So a dude with particularly high numbers is lacking, he ain't got nothing to do. And he don't have no discernment or discipline with his sex. And that can break men too. And nobody talks about the cost of promiscuity. That can break men too. Emotionally. Spiritually, it's problematic. He's not having so many problems physically from that. He's not being physically worn out the way a woman would be physically worn out by a particularly high number of sexual partners. But emotionally and spiritually, there's a consequence for him. Thank you, Miles. Say, Kendra, you cooking today and I'm eating. Well, eat on up. There is something going on with him because men who have their spiritual selves intact are not up after everything walk past him. He'll look, he notice it. Oh, okay, she is fine. I ain't gonna lie. Now, I ain't gonna hit it, but yeah, that's about a D cup. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. I mean, I'm good. Ball up like a pretzel, but back in the day, if she had ran across me 5 years ago, have her balled up, but okay. Alright, okay. But men who have discernment, they don't do all of that. It's not that they no longer see women. They just have some type of spiritual grounding that helps them not devalue themselves sexually as men. Long time ago, I did a live stream about how dealing with low-level women a lot messes with men. And it does. But anyway, we're going back to the women. Nobody told women about the devaluing. And this young lady talked about that. She mentioned that, listen, I went through my phase. I did that. That's what she's saying. I did that. And I did it under the whole I'm empowered, do what I want to do, type situation. But I realized that I was devaluing myself. That's biology all day. I'm devaluing myself with that. I'm degrading myself with that. That's not empowerment. That's actually a sign of being broken. Thank you, 39 Dina. Constantly letting a man, any kind of man, enter you. brokenness. We take on so much trauma. We take on so many broken spirits. We take on so much as vessels, because no matter what feminism tell us, we are vessels. And we intake what men give us, physically and spiritually. We take that in. I hope y'all ladies know that. That's why it has always been morally and ethically correct and accepted that women's value is higher when she doesn't have all of these sexual partners over her lifetime. Because not only is it coming from a physical, sexual standpoint that works in a man's psychology, it works in his mind. How many men has she been with? You know, he don't want to think about that. Men don't want to think about that. They don't want to think about that, especially when it comes to women they love or women they want. They don't want to think about all of that. I mean, so what's the number again? Divide by 4. Carry the 2. Now bring down the 0. It's going to be a remainder.